What's going on, Vikings fans? Got some exciting news for you guys today. We're coming up. Daniel Jeremiah dropped his latest mock draft. Who does he have the Vikings selecting at pick number 24? Stay tuned for that. And then also, the Vikings were linked to a free agent corner, according to PFF. So we'll give you guys the news there. And also, Bynum, is an extension coming for the free agent safety? We'll talk about that on today's show. But let me know your guys' thoughts on this. What is the biggest position of need for the Minnesota Vikings? So I narrowed it down to 3 here. Offensive line, defensive line, and cornerback. Give me an O for offensive line. Give me a D for defensive line. Or if you think it's cornerback, give me a CB down below in the comments section. Let me know your guys' thoughts. For me, I still think it's offensive line, so I'll be probably typing my O's there. But you guys let me know your thoughts. What is the biggest position of need for the Minnesota Vikings? All right, let's start it off. Daniel Jeremiah, in his latest mock draft, who do you have the Vikings selecting at pick number 24? Little teaser here. It's not an offensive lineman, and it's not a defensive lineman, but Daniel Jeremiah, one of the best NFL draft analysts out there, so we'll see what he has to say here in a second. But I do want to look back at the picks before the Vikings selected at pick number 24. So at pick number 19, he had Jahad Campbell, linebacker, going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then he also had Nick Imanwari, the safety out of South Carolina, going to the Denver Broncos. Matthew Golden, Texas wide receiver, heading to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then Colston Loveland, I promise you, in about 85% of mock drafts you guys see this offseason, they will have Colston Loveland going to the Los Angeles Chargers at pick 22. You got the Jim Harbaugh connection there. Then also Shamar Stewart, edge, going to the Green Bay Packers. So where does that leave the Minnesota Vikings at pick number 24? Well, Daniel Jeremiah had the Vikes selecting Malaki Starks, safety out of Georgia. Everybody relax. I can already see the comments being lit up. I am not drafting another safety out of Georgia. I feel like we're scarred from the Lewis Cine situation, but Malaki, he is a very interesting prospect here. So let's dive into him a little bit and check out what Daniel Jeremiah had to say about the Georgia safety. He says, Starks didn't make as many plays as we're accustomed to seeing from him in 2024, but people at Georgia rave about his intangibles, leadership, and work ethic. He has the versatility to play over the top or cover the slot. And that last part intrigues me the most about Malaki Starks because, again, the buzzword with Brian Flores and what type of players he wants to bring in are versatile football players, and that's what Malaki Starks is. Now, you could have said the same thing about Lewis Cine back in the day, but there is no doubt that Malaki Starks, he's a versatile player. He's a very aggressive player. He can play in the box. He's great in just certain run-fit schemes. And, with where the Vikings are at their safety position, like if Harrison Smith retires and Cam Bynum walks, I could definitely see them targeting a safety in the first round. But there's raw numbers on the season: 77 tackles, 4 TFLs, 4 PBUs, and 1 interception. But the coverage stats for him were pretty solid as well. 4 PBUs, 1 interception on the year, only allowed 2 touchdowns in 14 games and just under 500 yards. He allowed 34 completions on 52 attempts heading his way, and in total it ended up being a QB rating of 97.7. And listen, I understand it does make a lot of sense. Harrison Smith most likely going to retire. Cam Bynum, can you pay him in free agency? But I would rather have the Vikings, instead of, I don't want to call it wasting your first round pick on a safety, just to give the spot and give the starting role to a guy like Theo Jackson. Do not sleep on Theo potentially being the starting safety this upcoming season for the Minnesota Vikings. He had an awesome game when he had to fill in for Harrison Smith, that Week 16 game against the Seattle Seahawks. He had an 85 overall PFF grade. He had the game-sealing interception. And this guy, just like Malaki Starks, very versatile player. He was playing some box in that game. He was playing some deep half safety. He was all over the football field, and he already knows Flores' system. I think that is so key because I think the Vikings, I'm not saying their Super Bowl window starts next season, but everybody expects the Vikings to at least win 10 games and have a very strong season. I would rather have them go, the veteran route in a guy like Theo Jackson, starting at safety. Then you take that first-round pick, and then you go, add a defensive lineman like a Kenneth Gann out of Michigan, or you go get an offensive lineman or whatever it may be, or go draft a cornerback like Benjamin Morrison. But I just don't necessarily think safety is the right call in the first round for the Minnesota Vikings. Well, I'll ask you guys this. Should the Vikings draft a safety in the first round? What you think about this one? Give me a D for draft or give me a P for pass down below in the comment section. I'll make this a pinned comment on today's show. So if YouTube throws an ad break your way, sit back, let it play, and let me know your thoughts. If the Vikings should draft a safety in the first round this season, give me a D for draft or give me a P for pass. Now, coming up next on the show, PFF links the Vikings to Rasual Douglas, Bills cornerback. I'll share you guys the quotes, share some stats on him, and also talk about how he would fit with Brian Flores and this defense. But, before we dive into it, I do want to give a massive, massive shout out to today's presenting sponsor here on the show, and that is Game Time. Now, if you guys download the Game Time app today and plug in that promo code ChatSports, you guys will get $20 off your first purchase. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time and download that. Plug in that promo code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Terms apply. Again, create an account and just plug in promo code ChatSports. But Game Time has a new feature for you guys called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best value. Now, whether it's a Minnesota Timberwolves game, a Minnesota Wild game, or a concert, or whatever it may be that requires buying a ticket, Game Time is the best app to check out. And plus, we got a sweet deal for you guys. Plug in that promo code ChatSports, get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, first purchase only, but plug in that promo code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. So download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, let's talk about it. PFF, they're predicting where every free agent will sign this offseason. And they had the Vikings picking up cornerback Rasual Douglas this year in free agency. And, this is obviously a big position of need for the Vikings, considering you only have Mekhi Blackmon as only healthy, ready-to-go corner for next season, with Byron Murphy hitting free agency, Stephon Gilmore, Shaq Griffin. So I could definitely see the Vikes targeting cornerback. Let's just see what PFF had to say about Rasual Douglas joining the Minnesota Vikings. They said Douglas faced his share of challenges in Buffalo, earning a 58.9 coverage grade in 2024. However, his knack for creating turnovers remains undeniable, as he tallied 14 interceptions over the past 3 seasons. As the Vikings look to replace Stephon Gilmore, Douglas presents a seasoned option for the outside. His skill set aligns well with Brian Flores' aggressive, blitz-heavy scheme, making him a strong candidate to bolster Minnesota's secondary. And that's, very true about what Brian Flores likes from his cornerbacks. He likes that ball hawk. He likes that aggressive corner where, yes, you may give up a lot of yards over the top, but when plays are needed to be made, he can do that. Now, here are his stats in terms of coverage this season. He was targeted 53 times, and he allowed 39 completions for 452 yards, 4 touchdowns, and he had 5 PBUs and 0 interceptions this season, and he also allowed a quarterback rating of 124.1. But I do think Rasual Douglas, if the Vikings, because I think a big domino to fall right away at free agency will be Byron Murphy. And, I would rather have the Vikings head the direction of Byron Murphy at that $17 million compared to what Rasual Douglas is supposed to get, 2 years, $26.5 million. And Rasual is a good player. He would be a good scheme fit. I cannot deny that. Now, if the Vikings did not already have Byron Murphy in their organization, I could definitely see them heading another direction. But, I will say, Byron Murphy, if it's the difference between Rasual Douglas at $13.5 million per year or Byron Murphy at $17.5, just take that extra $4 million and land a guy who has been here under Flores for the past 2 seasons. I honestly think that's a no-brainer. And also with Rasual Douglas, if they do bring back Byron Murphy, I don't think there's a chance they go out and sign another big-name cornerback. If Murphy is brought back, I think they would still target one in round 1. You go draft a Benjamin Morrison, and then at that 3rd cornerback spot, that 4th cornerback spot, you still have Mekhi Blackmon coming back off that injury, and then you could just go call Stephon Gilmore in August, call Shaq Griffin in August, get another body in there before the season starts. So, listen, Rasual Douglas, good player. I would like him if this was a different situation, but I would still rather have the Vikings roll out with Byron Murphy. But let's talk about Cam Bynum here real quick, because we did get a new report that the Vikings could be bringing back Cam Bynum here in free agency, and this would be, a very interesting move for a multitude of different reasons. Mainly with Cam Bynum, listen, I think he's a good player. There's no denying that, but I would rather, again, have the Vikings spend their money, somewhere else. Like, I don't want them to spend money, farther away from the football because they are so bad in the trenches on both sides, in my opinion. Yes, you got good players like on the outside of the trenches, but on the interior of the offensive line and the defensive line, there are still major holes to be filled there. And would you want to give Cam Bynum $11, $12 million where you could go use that money and sign another big name free agent? I don't know. But this is what Jeremy Fowler had to say on the Vikings extending Bynum, saying the Vikings and Bynum have had discussions about an extension. While nothing has materialized, both sides are open to it, and this could get done before mid-March. And this was actually in the latest article by ESPN, and it was Jeremy Fowler writing this. But, a little bit of an unpopular opinion here with Cam Bynum. I really believe this. I just think you need to let him walk in free agency. Listen, he's awesome. He's a great locker room guy. Like him choreographing all those, turnover celebrations. Like it was truly one of the most enjoyable parts of the season. But I just don't think it's, a good move. I think it would be a bad move if you brought him back on a $12, $13 million per year salary. I just think it doesn't really make too much sense. He's a very good player, but for this contract, I just don't think it would be the best idea. I mean, 3 years, $42.75 million. Hey, listen, great locker room guy, brings the vibes, brings the great energy there, but also he's not the best safety in terms of his run defense. He does struggle immensely there. He is a great ball hawk. He can force turnovers, but again, you got a guy like Theo Jackson that can hop in there and give you damn near the same production. But, the raw stats for Cam Bynum this season, he was solid. No denying that. He did struggle in both Lions games this year, I will say, especially tackling Jahmyr Gibbs in the open field. But, in coverage this year, he was also pretty solid. Like, he is a very, very good safety. And I could see even another team getting up closer to $14, $15 million for Cam Bynum. But I just also think, and maybe it's just a Vikings fan's perspective on the whole thing, I almost wonder if he's a little bit overvalued to us just because of the touchdown or the turnover celebrations, and how good he is in the locker room. But actually on the field, his impact, is it worth $11, $12 million? I'm going to say no. Spend that money elsewhere. But hey, you guys might disagree with me. I know this is a polarizing topic right now. Cam Bynum, fan favorite, but you guys let us know. Would you bring back Camryn Bynum in free agency? Give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no down below in the comment section. You guys let me know your thoughts. Sound off down below in the comment section. Now, if you guys also want to hit me up on Twitter, the handle is @PatSieps. Give me a follow over there, and I'll give you guys a follow right back. But I appreciate you guys watching today's show. Exciting time to be a Minnesota Vikings fan. So, listen, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. As always, Skol Vikes.